I've come across people that have broken their arms, and I'm saying, what did you do? And well, I left it for a few days, and then the pain was so bad I had to go in. Just before lockdown, I had a cataract removed in my eye. Something went wrong with it. So I delayed ringing up because I was really scared. I didn't know what was going on at the hospitals. So I left it 3 days, and in the end I had to go in, and I virtually had the hospital to myself. And with the right medication, it sorted itself out. And I thought, how silly was I? I could have lost my eye through that. But that was fear.
In May I got pneumonia because I got COPD. I was taken into your hospital and I spent 12 days in there, which was scary in itself, because you think being in the hospital, there's that many people with the virus in there, that you're bound to get it. And at first I thought I might have had it, because it was like a pneumonia that I'm not used to. Not being able to have visits and stuff like that, because that's something you rely on in hospital, is people coming up and seeing you, even if it's only for 10 minutes, it still breaks the monotony of the place.
As part of the virtual volunteering a scheme that we did in the hospital and in the rehabilitation centres, one of the things that I would be doing was to take an electronic tablet like an iPad or a Samsung Galaxy onto a ward, and you're going to sit with that patient while they did their phone call or their video call with their relatives, and it was at the time when the pandemic had started to become really severe. So I remember going onto the ward and it was my first time doing it. Never been on the ward before in my life. Turned up in my clerical shirt, trousers, really, and then was told you have to get off the ward, put some scrubs on. Bearing in mind that PPE wasn't mandatory in a hospital at that point, not for clerical workers, it wasn't anyway. So I remember going onto the ward, and the lady's name, I can't tell you the second name obviously, but her first name was Florence, and I always remember her. She was laid out, I don't know, about 90, extremely ill, really, really, really ill, very, very frail, very, very ill, very, very ill indeed, and very short breath. Because they'd taken the chairs away in the hospital, because I didn't want visitors there, I was having to kneel down by the side of the bed. Now this person was COVID positive, and the first thing that she wanted to do was grab hold of my arm, and she was just looking at me, and I was showing her the picture on there, and the fact was that they were talking to her, and I was having to basically say it to her again, because she couldn't hear very well, and I was having to get very, very, very close, and then being about this close to her, and of course she has no mask on, so because she's a patient, and to think that her family were talking to her, that could have been, I would assume it was for the last time. And when you see the daughter and the great grandkids, and they're all talking to her, and I can't get out of the picture because I'm having to hold the thing up in front of her because there's no stand for her to put it on. When she got too ill to carry on, and then I said to her, "Would you like me to stay with you for half an hour?" And she said yes. And then she just told me how fantastic her family were, and it was a great privilege for me to be with her. I might have been her last moments, or her last weeks, or last week, but for me that was always a haunting time in some ways, a privilege to be there. I did dream about it quite a lot after that, and I still do from time to time, and I've seen lots of patients since then, some COVID, some end of life, some people have got out of hospital, and I've always found it was a privilege to be with them. But I do remember very clearly one thing that was when she was talking about her family. I looked around the bay and there was 3 other people there. One person was completely, I would say, shell-shocked about. The other person, who was a younger person than me, was coughing a lot and was in tears because you could hear the conversation between Florence and her family, and the other person was on a ventilator and I never saw that person at all. It gets to you spiritually, it gets to you mentally, everything about it, and you have to be extremely strong about things, and almost to the point where you take it away from your mind, and you just have to channel it away.
One thing I did do, right in the middle of it, I did write a list of my wishes, because I started to seriously think, well, would the boys know what I would like? And I even took out life insurance. So, and I thought, well, I feel better for that. And I've done some wishes for them to follow, so they know. So they're not, if anything does happen, because I've got age and health things going on, and I'm sure there must be loads of people that have felt the same, but it's actually putting it down on paper, getting it done, getting it out the way, fold it up, put it away, it's done. And then, but I was glad I did do that,
Funerals have been very hard. We had a dearly beloved member of our congregation pass away fairly early in lockdown, and at that point we couldn't have family inside the crematorium at all. So I conducted a service for 10 family members outside in a tent, and then it was myself and the funeral director videoing the service, the committal inside the crematorium, and that was really difficult.
I unfortunately lost my auntie during the pandemic. She died on Good Friday. I went through going to a funeral where her own daughter wasn't able to get to the funeral, so it was a difficult situation.
People have not been able to grieve properly, and I think that's on top of the grief that we all feel ongoing for not seeing family and friends as much as we would like.
It's been a massive thing, this mental health through this. But I've tried not to let it bother me too much at the same time, because if you let things bother you, then they get on top of you, and it's hard to get out of it then. There's been Jenny, local area coordinator, she's been brilliant, and the weekly phone call from the food hub has been invaluable as well, because I get to speak to someone, rather than being stuck in the flat on my own. I get to speak to someone once a week.
Mental health has been a huge issue. People that haven't had any mental health problems previously, experiencing anxiety and depression through the isolation and not seeing people, and people with existing diagnoses, their symptoms have just been exacerbated. So people can come to us with all sorts of things, people of any ages with any issues. In sort of normal times, we work with caseloads of roughly 50 to 65 people at any time, and that's easily sort of doubled during the pandemic.